You're tuning in to Reverse Reset Restore, your go-to source for all things related to optimizing your physical, mental, and emotional health. Today, we're shining a spotlight on cortisol, the unsung hero or villain of our body's stress response system. So sit back, relax, and get ready to explore how understanding this essential hormone can empower you to take charge of your health and well-being like never before. Change comes from within. Welcome to episode 5 in our special series on cortisol and its impact in various areas of our body. From its role in regulating metabolism and immune function to its impact on mood and sleep patterns, cortisol exerts a profound influence on virtually every aspect of our health. Over the last 4 months, we've looked at cortisol in our immune system, cortisol in our weight, cortisol in our hearts, and most recently, cortisol and our cognition. If those topics sound interesting to you, I've linked the previous episodes in the show notes for you. Today, as I mentioned, is episode 5 in our 6-part series, and we are delving into how this hormone disrupts digestion and what we can do about it. This might surprise you, but you have much more power than you might think when it comes to your gut health. Most of us know about cortisol, which is often referred to as the stress hormone. It's the hormone that comes into play when our reptilian survival instincts kick in, like when in fight, fright, or freeze mode. It also plays a crucial role in the body's regulation of various physiological processes. One significant area where cortisol exerts its influence is the digestive system. In this episode, we're going to look at how cortisol impacts and interferes with our digestive health, including disruptions such as irritable bowel syndrome, acid reflux, inflammation, and muscle function within the intestine. Before we get into the specifics of cortisol in our gut, let's just do a quick review of how stress activates cortisol and the knock-on effect that occurs. When the body perceives stress, whether it's physical, emotional, or psychological, the hypothalamus signals the adrenal glands to release cortisol. This hormone prepares the body for a fight or flight response by increasing glucose levels in the bloodstream, enhancing brain function, and altering immune system responses. Everything shifts to survival mode. So all of our other bodily functions and processes are minimized to maximize the body parts most needed to keep us alive in this moment of stress. Everything not needed kind of gets shut down because our resources are required for getting us the heck out of Dodge and away from the danger that just might kill us. This is a good, amazing, incredible gift of our complex bodies. Adrenaline and cortisol kicking in to keep us safe. However, here's the catch-22, folks. This is an ancient system for the human body, and while it served us well in the times of our ancestors, where danger lurked around in the form of lions and tigers and bears, oh my, and we lived in much more perilous times without the luxuries of our modern day living, our body's hormones did not get the memo that we didn't need such high levels of cortisol jumping in every single time we get stressed or frightened or angry. And as fantastic as it is to be living here and now with all of our modern day conveniences, our body's biology is deeply rooted to that ancient design. It doesn't differentiate between stress that is actually life and death and stress that is prolonged or chronic just because, well, life. So what happens for far too many of us is that we live our lives operating on the edge of constant stress, and that can lead to sustained high levels of cortisol, which can negatively impact everything in our lives. And, as will be discussed in this episode, our digestive processes in several ways. Dr. Robert Sapolsky, a renowned neuroendocrinologist, explains what happens to our digestive system when stress is introduced. Digestion is quickly shut down during stress. The parasympathetic nervous system, perfect for all that calm, vegetative physiology, normally mediates the actions of digestion. Along comes stress. Turn off parasympathetic, turn on the sympathetic, and forget about digestion. It makes sense that when in fight or flight or freeze mode, our digestive system is one of the systems to be put offline, so to speak. The problem is that when we are living with constant or chronic stress, our digestive system is unable to safely come back online and function at its optimal, paving the way for loads of issues that start in the gut and pretty much ruin everything else. As Hippocrates said, all disease begins in the gut. We don't tend to think of stress as a disease, and maybe it's unfair of me to refer to it as such. But perhaps just, at least for this episode, we could consider chronic, unchecked, constant stress acting as a pathogen or infectious agent like bacteria, viruses, parasites, and fungi that comes into our system and creates absolute havoc and even devastation, especially if left unchecked or untreated. The impact of cortisol on the digestive system manifests in a range of symptoms, which may vary in severity depending on individual stress levels and susceptibility. Here are some ways that stress, in its capacity as a pathogen, affects the digestive system. I'm going to go through quite a number of symptoms that show up or are exacerbated by chronic stress. And while I talk through them, I want you to make a mental note if any of these are reoccurring for you on the daily or showing up frequently enough in your week. Number 1, increased stomach acid production. When stressed, cortisol stimulates the production of gastric acid in the stomach. This increase can lead to conditions such as acid reflux. The resulting discomfort includes heartburn, regurgitation, and acidic taste in the mouth, which can significantly impact quality of life. Number 2, gut motility and contractions. Cortisol affects the smooth muscles of the digestive tract, influencing motility and contraction patterns. High levels of cortisol can lead to spasms or cramping, contributing to symptoms like abdominal pain, bloating, and irregular bowel movements, whether it's diarrhea or constipation. In conditions like irritable bowel syndrome or IBS, stress-induced changes in gut motility play a crucial role in symptom exacerbation. Number 3, blood flow redistribution. During stress, the body prioritizes blood flow to organs and muscles essential for the fight or flight response, diverting it away from the digestive system. This reduced blood flow can impair digestion and nutrient absorption, contributing to symptoms like nausea, decreased appetite, and discomfort after eating. Number 4, impact on gut microbiota. Cortisol influences the balance of gut microbiota, which play a crucial role in digestive health and immune function. Chronic stress can disrupt this balance, leading to dysbiosis, a condition characterized by an imbalance in beneficial and harmful bacteria. Dysbiosis is associated with various digestive disorders, including inflammatory bowel diseases such as Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis. Number 5, intestinal barrier function. Prolonged stress and alleviated cortisol levels can compromise the integrity of the intestinal barrier. This barrier normally prevents harmful substances from leaking into the bloodstream. When compromised, it can lead to increased permeability, so something like leaky gut syndrome, which allows toxins and bacteria and undigested food particles to enter the bloodstream and trigger inflammatory responses within the body. Number 6, stress can influence our eating behaviors, leading to either increased or decreased appetites. Because cortisol can affect our appetite regulation, you may find that you end up having cravings for food that's really high in calories or sugars or fatty foods, which can disrupt your normal digestion and contribute to weight gain. Others may experience reduced appetite, impacting nutrient intake essential for digestive health. If you are interested in exploring this a bit more and you haven't listened to this episode already, I encourage you to go and listen to episode 98, You Can't Feed a Feeling with Food, How to Let Go of Your Emotional Eating Habit. Number 7, inflammation and digestive disorders. So chronic stress and elevated cortisol levels contribute to systemic inflammation, which can worsen pre-existing digestive disorders such as IBD and gastritis or pancreatitis. Inflammation in the gastrointestinal tract lead to tissue damage, pain, and disruption of normal digestive processes. Number 8, mucosal immunity. Cortisol suppresses immune responses, including mucosal immunity in the gut. So when this happens, the suppression can increase your susceptibility to infections and compromise the gut's ability to defend against pathogens, contributing to gastrointestinal illnesses and prolonged recovery periods. Number 9, digestive upset. Chronic stress, elevated cortisol levels can lead to digestive upsets, which include symptoms such as abdominal discomfort, bloating, gas, cramping. These symptoms often result from altered gut motility and sensitivity. Number 10, nausea and vomiting. Chronic stress can exacerbate feelings of nausea and occasionally lead to vomiting, particularly in situations of acute stress or anxiety. Number 11, irritable bowel syndrome, IBS. Individuals with IBS may experience exacerbations of symptoms during periods of really high stress and when your cortisol levels are just chronically elevated. These symptoms can include abdominal pain, bloating, diarrhea, or constipation. And I want to just go over a couple of less common symptoms that may be impacting on your health. Number 12, gastrointestinal ulcers. So chronic stress can impair the protective mechanisms of the gastrointestinal lining, making it more susceptible to damage from stomach acid. This can lead to the development of ulcers, particularly in the stomach or duodenum. Number 13, gastroesophageal reflux disease, GERD. While occasional acid reflux is common, chronic stress and cortisol elevation can worsen symptoms of GERD, leading to more frequent episodes of heartburn and potentially damaging the esophagus over time. And number 14, gastrointestinal bleeding. In severe cases of chronic stress, our elevated cortisol levels can contribute to increased gastric acid production and decreased mucosal blood flow, potentially leading to gastrointestinal bleeding. How many out of these 14 symptoms mentioned here, or illnesses, did you recognize coming up in your own life? If you have been diagnosed with an illness like IBS or Crohn's disease, you may have just figured, well, this is my lot in life. Can I just tell you, and excuse the TMI, for about 20 years of my life, from somewhere in my 20s and into my 40s, I had daily diarrhea with severe cramping, vomiting, and nausea. I literally thought this was normal. It is not normal. And even when you have a diagnosis, you can do something to manage your symptoms and reduce, if not entirely obliterate them from your daily life. When I was diagnosed with diabetes, I immediately went into 2 modes. Mode 1 was a self-hatred spiral of rage and fury at having allowed myself to become diabetic as I saw it. The second mode, which was a much more productive way to go, was, what am I going to do about it? Because I was determined that I was not going to fall victim to the comorbidities associated with diabetes, like losing my eyesight or a limb or even a toe or two. I did not want my future to be one of dialysis or neuropathy or heart disease. I saw this as my problem to solve, or at least manage, rather than do what so many of us tend to do, abdicate our personal responsibilities to the doctor. And I guess that is what made me a rather unique patient for the medical teams I've seen over the years. Because I just didn't sit idly by and take this diagnosis and roll with it. Not on my watch. By changing my eating patterns, becoming much more aware of my emotions and my body, I have changed the trajectory of what a type 2 diabetes diagnosis often leads to. I refuse to be a victim in my own body or just lie down and cry, woe is me, because I have a disease that is very much manageable and treatable with some good old-fashioned personal responsibility and lifestyle changes. My point is, and I do have one, I promise, is that for many people, getting a diagnosis seems to be the thing that they focus on rather than what they can do about it. And if you can reverse type 2 diabetes, which I've done by cutting carbs out of my diet and by managing my stress levels better, there is probably similar outcomes that could happen for many other illnesses and diseases. There is this quote that I think conveys what I'm trying to say here. This comes from Alan Locus, founder and guiding teacher of the Community Meditation Center in New York City's Upper West Side, and author of Patience, The Art of Peaceful Living. Alan says, there is no illness that is not exacerbated by stress. So, if our illnesses or our diseases are worsened by chronic stress, then there is hope that by managing our stress and reducing the internal rampage of raging cortisol levels, we can improve our well-being and significantly change the symptoms we experience. Now we are getting to the fun stuff, the practical measures you can take to reduce cortisol in ways that will improve your digestive health. I think if you've had a long-term gut issues, or through just looking over these last 14 symptoms I just shared, you may have just discovered that maybe the current way your body operates when it comes to digestion isn't that normal after all, and you're going to appreciate some of these suggestions. If you are a regular Reverse Reset Restore listener, many of these are strategies that will be familiar to you. No, not because I am just rehashing old stuff. There is a theme here. These strategies work, and they work in multiple ways, for multiple reasons, in multiple issues and experiences, which is why they come up time and time again. There may be a few here that you haven't considered when it comes to gut health. Let me know in the comments if any of these approaches are a surprise. Number 1, regular physical activity. Engaging in regular exercise not only helps manage your stress levels, and we talked about this in one of our Foundation Friday episodes where we looked at the book Burnout, The Secret to Unlocking the Stress Cycle by sisters Emily and Amelia Nagoski, where they talked about unlocking the stress cycle by completing it with adding exercise into your life. Physical activity stimulates the muscles of the gastrointestinal tract, aiding in the movement of food and waste through the digestive system. Exercise also promotes the release of endorphins, which are natural mood boosters, which can counteract the effects of stress on digestion. Number 2, mindful eating practices. Practicing mindful eating involves being present and aware of your eating habits and sensations. This includes chewing food thoroughly, eating at a slower pace, and paying attention to hunger and fullness cues. Mindful eating can help reduce stress-related eating behaviors such as overeating or binge eating, which can disrupt digestion. Number 3, hydration. Now, when we're talking hydration here, honey, we're talking about water, all right? So put down the coffee or the wine or whatever it is. Let's focus on drinking an adequate amount of water throughout the day because that's essential for maintaining optimal digestive function. Water helps soften stools, making it easier to pass, and it supports the digestion and absorption of the nutrients in our food. Dehydration can also exacerbate digestive issues, so staying hydrated is crucial, especially during periods of stress. Number 4, probiotics and fermented foods. Probiotics are beneficial bacteria that promote a healthy balance of gut microbiota, which plays a crucial role in digestion and in immune function. So we want to consume probiotic-rich foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi. They all help support digestive health and reduce inflammation in the gut caused by stress. Probiotic supplements may also be beneficial, particularly during times of increased stress. And we all know that we are going to have times in our lives. We're never going to have completely stress-free existences, right? But when you know that you're going into a period where you're likely to experience elevated stress levels, whether that's changing jobs, getting married, grieving the loss of someone, having children, financial problems, buying a house, moving countries, whatever it may be, these are all things that we know add stress to our lives. So maybe having some probiotic supplements might be beneficial to help support your gut health during that time. Number 5, gut healing nutrients. Certain nutrients and supplements can support your gut health, mitigating the impact of stress on digestion. For example, glutamine is an amino acid that supports the integrity of the intestinal lining and helps repair damage caused by stress-induced inflammation. Omega-3 fatty acids found in fish oil or flaxseed oil have anti-inflammatory properties that can benefit gut health. Including these types of nutrients in your diet or as a supplement may help protect and heal the digestive system. Number 6, sticking with the food, balanced nutrition. Adopt a balanced diet rich in the foods that work well for your body. So for some people, fruits, whole grains, vegetables, lean proteins is going to be perfectly acceptable for you. If you are like me, have a metabolic disorder, type 2 diabetes, or you've got some insulin resistance, you're probably going to want to go the fruits that are like blueberries and some strawberries, and you're going to go for nuts, and you're going to go for your nice green vegetables like broccoli and spinach and salads, and your proteins that have got some good fats. Overall, we're wanting to avoid excessive caffeine and alcohol, which can stimulate cortisol production. Number 7, adequate sleep. Prioritizing your quantity of sleep and your quality of sleep. To me, quality is much more important than quantity. I don't tend to sleep massive amounts of time, but I'm happy if I've got a good solid 5 or 6 hours a night and I've felt like I've really rested. That to me is quality sleep. But research suggests that we should aim for 7 to 9 hours per night to support overall hormone balance and reduce cortisol levels. The more sleep that you can get, overall is probably better for sure. But yeah, you've also got to just work within how your body copes with the amount of sleep it gets or doesn't get. Sleep is still something I'm working on. Number 8, breathing exercises and relaxation techniques. Now it might come as a bit of a surprise to you. We're suggesting incorporating deep breathing exercises or progressive muscle relaxation or meditation into your daily routine. But we know that these techniques work to help reduce your stress. And stress reduction techniques promote optimal digestion because it's calming the nervous system. It's reducing the tension in your muscles and improving the blood flow to the digestive organs. So something as simple as a 5-minute meditation before you go to bed at night where you just relax and you focus on your breath can actually help support your gut health. Number 9, acupuncture or acupressure. Traditional Chinese medicine practices such as acupuncture and acupressure can help alleviate stress and improve digestion by balancing the flow of energy or qi through specific meridians related to digestive function. Research suggests that acupuncture may reduce symptoms of gastrointestinal disorders and promote overall well-being by addressing both physical and emotional aspects of stress. Number 10, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. This is something we talked about many moons ago in our very first few episodes actually of the podcast. And CBT is a therapeutic approach that focuses on changing negative thought patterns and behaviors that contribute to stress and anxiety. It can be beneficial for individuals experiencing stress-related digestive disorders such as IBS or functional dyspepsia by addressing underlying psychological factors CBT can help reduce stress levels and improve our coping mechanisms, leading to better digestive health as well as mental and emotional health. Number 11, social support. I'm popping this one in here because I think maintaining strong social connections and seeking emotional support from friends, from family, or support groups to help buffer the effects of stress. Number 12, herbal remedies. Consider incorporating adaptogenic herbs like ashwagandha or holy basil, which have been shown to help regulate cortisol levels. We'll probably do an episode on some of the herbal remedies at another point because I think that could be quite interesting. And number 13, the last one. I'm throwing this in here as an extra because it's something I do and I think it's just kind of a really simple thing that you can start to incorporate. Fasting. Whenever we eat, a lot of energy goes into digesting food. So one of the ways we can reduce all that energy going into our digestion is to stop eating. No, not forever, and not in an unhealthy way, or even in healthy forms of fasting like the type of fasting I do, which can be intermittent or extended fasting. We will get into those two in future episodes. What I am talking about in terms of fasting today for gut health is about rest. Every part of our body needs adequate rest to perform at its best. I'm not sure who said this, but I came across a tip a while back which said, give your digestive system a rest once a week. Quite simply because all of us need a rest from time to time. I want you to just consider closing your eating time and extending your non-eating or fasting time. By being more intentional with our non-eating times, extending before bed and after you wake is super beneficial for your body to not only rest, but also recover. Perhaps to start off with 1 day a week where you don't start eating till as late as possible and then you stop eating as early as you can. Just a heads up. Your body is probably going to get a little bit grumpy about this. It might give you stomach pains or a vicious headache. You might find yourself wanting to eat because you are bored or you're being really grumpy to everyone around you for no good reason. This is mostly going to be because your body and your brain have gotten used to all these wee habits we have systematically created over times. And these habits can be dismantled with some time and patience too. So begin with 1 day and be persistent with that day. Maybe it's going to take you a few weeks, maybe it'll take you a few months. Just 1 day a week, hold off on having breakfast as late as possible, and then after your dinner is done, close up shop. Kitchen's closed, we're not eating anymore. Once you've got used to that, perhaps consider extending it to another day. Remember that the more time you allow your digestive system to rest and recover from all the other times you make it work from eating, the more you're going to gain health benefits now and in the years ahead. It's future-proofing now to minimize ill health in the long run. Totally worth the sacrifice of now to be well in our later years, in my opinion. I'm not trying to villainize cortisol because it serves an important role in the body's stress response. But it's clear that as much as it helps us in moments of danger or in our fight or flight responses, it's when this stuff gets chronically elevated that it acts like a frenemy. And when we are living every day with this hormone working at constant critical levels, it can significantly impact digestive health. From exacerbating symptoms of gastrointestinal disorders, altering gut microbiota, and increasing inflammation, cortisol-induced disruptions in the digestive system are varied and far-reaching. By implementing effective stress management techniques, adopting a healthy lifestyle, seeking appropriate medical guidance, we can mitigate the negative effects of cortisol on our digestive health, which allows us to live the life we deserve. One where our well-being is maximized instead of being held hostage to hormones or disease or life circumstances. In the words of Dr. Robert Sapolsky, stress has a way of affecting not just the mind, but the body's entire digestive system. Understanding this connection is crucial for maintaining optimal health. Taking proactive steps to manage our stress and cortisol levels is key to fostering a harmonious relationship between our stress responses and our digestive functions, and it helps to safeguard our body and health now and for the future. If you are interested in learning more about how our gut acts as our body's second brain, check out episode 78, Gut Instinct, Harnessing the Power of Your Second Brain, where we talk about the stomach's enteric nervous system, the second brain, the gut microbiome, the gut-brain axis, and our gut instincts. That episode, combined with the cortisol focus in this one, just may be the 1-2 punch you need to make some changes in your life for your mental, emotional, and physical well-being. We close out this episode with a final quote from Chris Carr, a New York Times best-selling author and wellness advocate, who says, "Quite literally, your gut is the epicenter of your mental and physical health. If you want better immunity, efficient digestion, improved clarity and balance, focus on rebuilding your gut health."